Welcome to March. We're now in the month of the first day of spring, of the spring equinox. On the medicine wheel, the wheel of life, it's a time, the spring equinox is this time that we kind of give birth to, or we awaken our new lives, this new cycle of our life, the new things that we want to awaken and bring into our lives, the things we want to manifest and create in our lives. All these things are coming soon to a theater near us. And so it's a really good time to do what I call is to clear our life path. So like any residual things that may be blocking or obstructing our ability to bring these new things into our life, it's a really good time to clear them. Perhaps you've been doing some of that this winter. It's a really good time to do that over the winter. But now we're getting close. So it's like, it's the 11th hour. It's time, if there's any residual things that are blocking or obstructing, having a space for the new things in our life, a good time to clear them. And so one of the things that is really good to clear are things that we feel guilty about, things that we view as mistakes, or that we may even like have some self-loathing about for doing what we did. They may be choices. I'm gonna call them all choices, mistakes, screw ups, whatever. Those are more like, those have a subjective feeling to it. Let's just call them choices. You made a choice and perhaps it hurt someone, the outcome hurt someone that you care about. Perhaps like it hurt, a child or a loved one or a family member or a significant other. You made a choice and it affected your family negatively, perhaps. Or another thing, maybe you made a choice and it affected the course of your life. Like, that choice, maybe you sabotaged something that you were doing. Maybe you sabotaged a relationship, or maybe you maybe you did something and you think that's why a relationship ended. Maybe you pushed away a relationship or someone that really loved you. Maybe you pushed away abundance or an opportunity that was presented to you. And so we tend to hang on to these things. We don't know how to forgive ourselves for making a choice that had an unfortunate outcome. So I want to talk about a way to approach that. So it's a way to resolve guilt or regret, or, a lot of these things we hold on to, and we can really have some almost self-hatred or self-loathing. It's like when we don't forgive ourselves, we resent ourselves for making this choice that we made because it had such an unfortunate outcome, or at least we perceive it as the choice we made had the outcome at the very least. So, the way I want to talk about is it's a way to forgive yourself for a choice or choices that you made. Okay, and so this is self-forgiveness, one that we sometimes have a challenge with. And the way I want to suggest you do that is to ask yourself why you made the choice you did. Okay, so having an understanding of why you made the choice you did is the best way I know to forgive yourself for making the choice. We want to have compassion for the choice we made, compassion for ourselves in making the choice that we did. And the best way to do that is to understand why we did it. You made the choice you did for a reason. Okay? And most likely, it was the best you were able to do at the time. Now you can say, well, that just doesn't cut it. I made a choice, it hurt somebody, it screwed up my marriage, whatever else. Maybe you had an affair, maybe you like whatever, maybe you really did something that seems dastardly and totally unacceptable. Well, whatever it is, the choice you made, you did it for a reason. Okay, and you didn't make you, and it isn't just because you suck or you're a terrible person. That's not specific enough. We want to know why you made the choice you made. So the first thing you do is you have to go back to the way you were when you made the choice. Now, this is easier to do if it was a recent choice. Okay, if it was a choice years ago or even a year ago, you're different now than you were then. So to understand why you made the choice you made, you have to go back to how you were when you made that choice. What type of, what was your level of consciousness? What was your reality? How did you see the world? What type of awareness did you have? And so maybe you weren't maybe you had less self-worth and you weren't able to accept as much beauty. Well, that is definitely a factor in the choice that you made, most likely. So you need to go back to how you were, not the way you are now. If you look at it with the way you are now, it's going to be really difficult to accept what you did because you probably know better now than you did then. If you were there now, you would probably make a different choice. So you have to go back to how life was when you made the choice. That's the first step. Okay, and then it's really looking at and inquiring about, okay, if I was the way I was then, why did I make that choice? Okay, so you have to almost go back to what the choice looked like before you made it. Well, I figured that if I made this choice, this would happen, so I couldn't do that. And if I made this choice, or, why did we make the choice that we did? What were the factors? What was the situation that you were in? Okay, and then understanding why you made that choice. You may need, this could get psychological. You may need to understand yourself psychologically. You could see a therapist. You could do a session. You could do a session with me. I guarantee if we talk, we could figure out why you made that choice. You would be, we'd be figuring it out together. But that's neither here nor there. It's like you can also do this with self-inquiry. You can ask, why did I make this choice? And sit there and let the answer come to you. Maybe it comes to you, as I would like to say sometimes, maybe it comes to you next Monday when you're in the shower, But like, I really want, ask Spirit, ask the universe, ask Source, whoever you ask about these things. It's like, Spirit, why did I make that choice? Like, what was I thinking? In a gentle way, not like, what was I thinking? More like compassionate, like really wanting to know, what was I thinking? Why did I make that choice? I now see that choice had an unfortunate outcome. So I need to understand why I made that choice. And not in a condemning sort of way, but an understanding why you would make a choice sort of way. Okay, and then you allow the answer to come to you. And so even if it was so why did I push away my perfectly good girlfriend? Or, why did I push away my perfectly good significant other? Or why did I quit my perfectly good job or push away an opportunity? Why did I say no to this really cool opportunity? Why did I sabotage? There's reasons for these things. There's a reason that you did that. You sabotage something for a reason, not just because you suck. That's where the guilt turns to shame pretty quickly. No, there was a reason that you sabotaged it. You weren't able to accept that level of abundance, perhaps. Okay, and I know that sounds a little woo, but it gets more specific. It's tough to do this in a general sense like I'm doing now. But what happens is you start kind of walking it back. You make it an inquiry and you spend some time with it and you really think, you look at it like a detective or a scientist, It's like, like it's, or like a CSI, it's great to do like a CSI, a crime scene investigation of like why you made that choice. Like, let's look at it and let's gather facts and let's get psychological. Let's like understand who you were at the time and what you were feeling and what stress you were under and what was going on. And then allow yourself to see, oh, I'm starting to see why I made that choice. It was unfortunate, but that's the best I had at the time. I was not able to accept someone that was loving me that much. So it was foreign to me. It scared me. It felt great, but I was worried that person would leave me. And so I just couldn't stand that risk. So I guess I just unconsciously sabotaged it. I pushed it away. And then finding compassion for it. Like, well, why would I do that? See, it just goes, well, why would I do that? And then why would I do that? It kind of goes deeper and deeper. It's like, well, why would I push that away? Why don't I have more ability to accept love? And then you can say, well, let's see, I was burned in the past, whatever. I had a crappy childhood, or my own parent wasn't able to love me, or some of that. But it's like, this is where the psychological can come in and actually make sense and actually help you do something. A lot of times insights, it's great to know what your issues are, but it's like, how did your issues affect your life? That's when it gets real. Like, how did your low self-worth affect your choice? And then it's like, oh, okay. There's like interlinkers. You're linking in what your issue is with the choice you made, with the effect it had on your life. And then it's like, oh, I now have compassion. It was really difficult for me to accept love because I have this unfortunate childhood or whatever else, where I was burned so many times in relationships I just wasn't able to trust, blah, 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 whatever it is. And then it's like, okay, now I have an understanding of, after a while, you've done your inquiry and you now have this understanding. Okay, now I understand why I made the choice I did. Okay, and unfortunately, that was the best choice I was able to make at the time. Okay, and so then it's like, okay, now that I understand it, I can begin to have some compassion for that, and I can begin to forgive myself for the choice that I made. A lot of times I tell clients, what if you were listening to all this process to a really good friend? You would tell them, oh, well, of course you made that choice, and it doesn't mean you suck. It just means that, you were in kind of a tough situation and you made the best choice, and give yourself some slack. It's kind of looking at that, like making sense of it, like putting yourself back in it. It's like, well, this is the information I had limited self-worth. And so, of course, it would make sense that I would make that choice. That was the best choice I knew. Or I made an unconscious choice and I wasn't dealing with my feelings, so I pushed it away, and then it's like, okay, well, that was the best. And now I can promise myself to remedy whatever the thing that caused me to do that. If it was a self-worth thing, I'll invest in some self-worth. Maybe my self-worth is bigger now than it was then, and I'm good, but maybe I need to work on these things so I can make a better choice in the future. And there's a thing where you can like promise yourself to next time I'm gonna sit with this and make a better choice. I'm not gonna push love away in that same way ever again. And I'm gonna promise that to myself, promise that to my heart. So, and then you can get to a point of forgiveness, of self-compassion, of understanding the choice that you made. And then you can clear your life path. So that is enough. As you can tell, this can kind of go more and more and more, but that's a good place to begin. It's a skill you can use to forgive yourself. And thank you for watching. That's my video blog for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a really amazing week, and maybe think about, is there any residual things that any choices that you're not able to accept in yourself? and then maybe considering doing an inquiry of like why you may have made that choice. And I will see you in a week.